Hello, all of our live viewers here with the Winning Takes live NBA free agency coverage. I'm Dylan Mitchell here with Brendan Smith, Daniel Belts, and Nick Nordquist. Uh, First of all, before we even get into free agency, the Oklahoma City Thunder just made a huge move to sign Paul George, to trade for Paul George, actually. And they'll now pair him up with Russell Westbrook. And all they had to give up was Oladipo and Sabonis. So, what are you guys' thoughts on that? How does it affect free agency and how does it affect the season?
I'm just surprised how little they gave up for him. Depot's contract is absurdly huge. Then Sabonis is not going to be anything special. The Celtics probably could have given up Crowder and a couple first-round picks to get him on draft night, so I don't see why they didn't take that right away.
Yeah, the Lakers offered Jordan Clarkson or Julius Randle plus 2 first-round picks for Paul George, and getting Depot's contract is horrible for the Pacers. Although like Sabonis, I think he might be a solid role player for the future.
Yeah, he seems a bit soft for me. I saw a statistic halfway through last season saying that he had gotten fouled the least amount in the league by a long shot. He just doesn't seem like he's strong enough to be a consistent power forward at the top level.
I mean, really, what's most questioning is you hear these reports of Boston offering 3 first-round picks. Now, as a Wizards fan, I'm saying we could have offered Otto or Oubre and 2 first-rounders for a 1-year rental of Paul George. You become an immediate contender, especially within the Eastern Conference. You're right there with Cleveland for a shot in the NBA Finals, and it doesn't really make sense when you could have. Not even just for the Wizards, but for all these teams on the verge where that's all you had to give up.
Yeah, I think the best trade offer would have been the sign and trade for Otto Porter, because then you lock him down for 4 or 5 years, and he's shown that he can be a capable starting small forward in the league.
Right, and with Otto, I mean, you don't know that you're getting 100%. You know you're getting a good player, but you don't know his ceiling. You know it's going to be somewhere. It's probably better than what Oklahoma City had to give up for sure. First-round pick, 2 first-round picks, and he's got a nice future with him.
Yeah, I mean, I've been saying myself that Otto Porter is going to be the best thing outside of that Celtics top pick, and I thought that the Wizards would have had an opportunity to make a move there. Obviously, Otto Porter would have had to agree to take less money and less years than what Washington could have offered for a year. And he probably would have had to be maybe at around $95 million, I think maybe 100 max, not to the 105 plus that he could get from DC. And I don't think that he was going to do that. It's kind of a little bit of a slap in the face, though, I think, now because of what John Wall said the other day. And he pretty much mentioned the whole starting 5 was solid, except for Otto Porter. And he didn't say that, like, Otto Porter was trash, but he definitely did say that he wasn't the piece that was going to get them over the top. But if you're a Wizards standpoint, me as a Wizards fan, I didn't even want to max Bradley Beal last year. And we maxed him and arguably overpaid him, but after you look at the season, did we really overpay for Bradley based on the season he had and what he has to come in the future? Probably not. So if Otto Porter can take the next step like Bradley Beal did this past year, the Wizards are going to set themselves up to be better than they were last year, and I think get over the hump over Boston to get to the Eastern Conference Finals. We'll see what they do this free agency, but I'm very hopeful. I just hope that they can come to an agreement quickly, but that they take a little bit – that he takes a little bit less money so that we have some room to upgrade the bench.
Yeah, let's move into, the other big news came yesterday with Chris Paul being traded to the Houston Rockets. Opted into the last year of his deal in order to be traded to Houston and make that trade all work out. Again, Houston, now another contender in the Western Conference to be added to Golden State, who you know is probably going to be competing for the title or is going to be competing for the title. And then San Antonio, who's going to be really competing with Golden State. So what do you guys really think, the addition of Chris Paul does for Houston?
What was Houston in the playoffs? The third seed? I don't see them. I don't see them bunny hopping. Like, I don't see them leapfrogging the Spurs. They're just gonna stay the same place they were. Sure, they'll get a lot more of a chance to get to the Western Conference Finals, but this next year, who's gonna beat the Warriors? I don't see anybody actually being able to top them. The playoff scene, because of the Paul George trade and this trade, it doesn't look like much is going to change in the Western Conference.
Hey, let me just say to anyone watching out there, please drop questions, comments inside our chat right here on the YouTube page, and we'll get to any questions. We'll talk about anything you guys want to talk about. And, we're going to get to everything. We're going to be going until about 1 a.m. Eastern time, so a little less than 2 more hours. We'll try to get to everything you guys want to talk about. And we're open to ideas, so just let us know what you want to hear. But with that, we'll continue with the Chris Paul talk.
I think they definitely leapfrog the Spurs. They're the second best team in the Western Conference now. They'll be able to space the floor a lot more. Chris Paul's a knockdown shooter. Patrick Beverley was not. They are going to lose some bench depth, though, with Lou Will being gone. It'll be interesting to see how they cope with that in free agency, since Anderson makes a ton of money, Ariza makes a ton of money, plus Paul and Harden. No one's beating the Warriors in the West. They'll represent in the finals again. They'll probably beat the Cavs since all the talent left the East. And I don't know, maybe the Rockets try to trade for someone at the deadline to compete with the Warriors, but I don't see them tapping them this year.
Hey, by the way, with Daniel is his nephew, future Los Angeles Laker. So we will see what he's able to do and what he's able to add to Lonzo Ball towards the end of Lonzo's career. We'll see.
And LaMelo's career.
Bring a ring back to LA. Also welcome in Cooper Stepke to the broadcast, joining in our talk. He wants us to talk about Melo. Personally, I think Melo is staying in New York. I think with whatever they're going to bring in, I know there's talk about buyouts or everything, but you have to see, like, if they do that, you're leaving Porzingis there to dry, and he's by himself. The obvious choice is, keep Melo, avoid the buyout. Brendan wants Melo to the Wiz. From at Wizards Talk on Twitter, I think most Wizards fans are against that. We're really high on Paul George. It looks like it won't happen unless something comes around the deadline. Melo's not going to DC, Brendan. But realistically, I know with all this talk, I still see him staying in New York.
What about a buyout?
I think, even though the buyout's been talked about, and it's certainly a possibility, you got to look at, is New York going to, as the time comes, are they finally going to be able to do it? Because if there was a buyout coming, it probably would have happened by now with free agency looming. Yeah. Because you kind of want to have everything going on before, you want to know what you have going into free agency. And with Melo, you don't really know what's going on. So I think since they haven't bought him out yet, I think he's going to stay.
Can a team of Melo, CP3, and Harden beat the Warriors?
Melo, CP3, and Harden. Absolutely not. You're talking with Warriors. You're talking Melo, CP3, or Harden. I still don't see it. You're talking about just a core that's already been together, already has all the kinks out. They're proven champions, defending champions. I think Houston, maybe barring an injury to maybe a Klay Thompson, could do something. But until then, I don't really see anything Houston being able to to jump over Golden State.
Even though reports are that Iguodala is not going to meet with the Warriors this free agency, he's going straight to the Spurs tonight to meet with them. Livingston's going to want cash. They're going to lose their depth. We heard this last year, and they added Durant, but this year they won't be adding another star player. If they lose depth, I don't know. It bridges the gap.
With all the assets Houston just gave up, though, can you really say Houston's depth is that much better than the Warriors will be after this free agency?
That's a tough one, but they also added salary in order to get CP.
True, but
they got rid of Beverly's contract. They got rid of Lou Will's contract. Thanks, Lou Will, for getting the Lakers a first-round pick last year. I don't know.
And plus, there's a lot of talk that I've been sort of at the front of is how well Harden and Paul will do in the backcourt. They're two really ball-dominant guards, and there's been a lot of talk of actually them taking too much of the ball. They'll take like 80% of the shots every game. Capella's not going to get the ball nearly as much, and I thought Capella was amazing last season. So did every player that's not James Harden and Chris Paul is going to take a huge hit this next season, other than a couple of their main role players like Ariza. But
hey, we got a fan question again from Cooper. How much of a difference would it make without Iguodala on the Warriors? I think not having him is still, the Warriors are still going to be the Warriors with or without him. Because really the face and the heart and soul of that team is Draymond Green. He may not be the star. There's debate. Is he really even, deserving of the hype he gets? But, Iguodala is really a heart guy. But with them already having Draymond, his biggest purpose is already covered in Golden State. And I think it definitely hurts, that's for sure. But it's not going to be enough to where they don't get to the finals, or even that they're still not dominant over a team like Cleveland.
I agree with the remarks about Draymond Green. Without Draymond Green, this team doesn't win championships. Their inside presence is so unbelievably not there that without this guy, they wouldn't be going anywhere. So as much as Iguodala actually means something to the Warriors, with his orientation with the rest of the team, this team is clearly strong in the 1, 2, and 3 if we don't include Draymond. So sure, you got players like Ian Clark backing up the backcourt and Sean Livingston. I think they'll be pretty fine without Iguodala. Sure, it's a miss, but it's not a big miss.
All right, for the audience knows, Andre Iguodala was a 2015 Finals MVP. I am all aboard the Andre Iguodala should be a Hall of Famer when it all settles.
Didn't he make like 3 out of like 20 free throws in those last 2 games? That's the one thing I can remember about those finals is him bricking every free throw he took.
He is not needed for his offensive capabilities. Durant, Curry, and Thompson can come up with that. Iguodala is a high IQ player. He makes game-winning plays on the defensive side. And I think they will lose a lot of production if he's off the team. I don't see Ian Clark being able to keep up his level of productivity in key moments of the game.
Hey, let me hop back in real quick. From our very own The Winning Takes Clayton Couch, I just got a message saying he's hearing reports of New York possibly being a landing spot for Drew Holiday and also Gordon Hayward. I'm not sure where he's hearing those reports from, but I think New York's definitely – actually, I can't believe I'm going to say this because I've never thought about this until this text, but that's a landing spot for Gordon Hayward. Rumors today that there was a 4th team besides Utah, Miami, and someone else, and the 4th team was somebody that the Lakers, and there was a 4th team that no one had really been talking about yet. New York could be that fourth team. And, that goes with the Melo thing. Keeping Melo, bringing Hayward, maybe retain Rose, have Porzingis. It may not be that super team Derrick Rose was talking about, but that should be a playoff team. And if not, the whole organization should be fired.
But then they just draft Frank, and I'm going to struggle with that last name. Ntilikina?
Isn't it Ntilikina? Like the T is silent.
Ntilikina.
And they would have him.
Ntilikina. It's Ntilikina.
So then they would have him and Drew Holiday. I don't see Drew Holiday making that move to New York.
All right. Also, guys, Nene just agreed to re-sign with the Rockets on a 4-year, $15 million deal. I mean, obviously, you can't do. No one can until the 9th officially, but reports are that Nene is re-signing.
How much money?
4-year, 15.
You said $15 million?
Yeah.
4 years, $50 million from a man.
It's cheap. It's just too many years. I would only give him a 1-year deal.
Oh, I mean, for sure, it's a long deal, especially for someone with his injury history. That's surprising to me, something that I really hadn't heard of. But as a Wiggins fan, it's a $15 million deal. It's not 50. It's 15.
That's a cheap contract.
But for sure, I mean, you saw what happened once he got injured. He's definitely deserving that kind of money at least. And I think re-signing him really makes Houston a legitimate threat against Golden State in the playoffs. And I know earlier in the show I was talking about how Houston's not close. I think the signing of Nene really brings them in to a potential being able to compete with Golden State, considering Golden State's bench may be weak.
I mean, they might take 5 games.
I think it's made for 4 years, $15 million, but they just traded for Sean, and Sean is not a player. So every trade like they did for all those other players they traded before they're them. Yeah, I like Sean Long, so I wouldn't have ran the. But
I think we're losing Brendan, and we'll try to get him back on. But it looks like he was having a little bad coverage. So let's get to some of these questions. Global Soccer Fan Page is asking how competitive the West will be. With this Paul George trade, you've got Golden State, obviously. You've got Houston. You've got San Antonio, of course. Oklahoma City. Just the West is absolutely stacked. And for teams maybe on the verge of the playoffs, they may not make it anymore because this just the conference overall is just stacked.
Yeah, and you have a team like the Minnesota Timberwolves that didn't make the playoffs last year and probably going to be a top 4 team in the West. You have Karl Anthony Towns, Andrew Wiggins, and Jimmy Butler all in one team. And who knows if they're going to get Jeff Teague, Derrick Rose. You've heard all the rumors with who the T-Wolves want. It would be great to see Derrick Rose reunited with Bibbs. I would love to see that.
As a Timberwolves fan, I really, really do not want Derrick Rose on the team because we had 2 main issues last season, and they put us in a huge ditch. The first one was our depth. We have terrible depth. We were paying Cole Aldridge $6 million on his salary last season, and for the numbers he put up, it was just absurd. Shabazz Muhammad is probably our best bench player. We have terrible depth. The second, which this Derrick Rose sort of kicks in, is our defense was terrible. Wiggins was not good enough on defense. In college, he was a great defender. In the NBA, he hasn't shown it. Cat has shown flashes of being lazy in the post, and Zach LaVine was horrendous, which was the main reason I like the Jimmy Butler signing. But I'd rather have a player more of Jeff Teague that's a bit more a less complete offensive-oriented player.
Just a side note, if Daniel, you want to show off your hat, that is part of the Winning Take collection, courtesy of A-List Designs. If you go to our website, thewinningtake.com, the first tab is our shop. Use the code TWT for 10% off anything in the shop. Shop the Winning Takes collection and whatever else you want. Again, we'll be here until 1 a.m. Eastern time. That gives us about another hour and a half. Leave your questions in the comments, and we'll try to get to what we can as we break news and keep you posted on everything going around with the NBA free agency. I know we've kind of touched on it, but a team I really wanted to focus on was Minnesota, with the addition of Jimmy Butler and possibly Derrick Rose, and they're a legit contender now. They could potentially.
How much cap space do they have?
Nick, do you know?
I'm pretty sure it's somewhere around 16 million. If we were to sign Teague, which the number around is 3 years, 55 million. If we were to sign Teague, which is the most plausible theory, sign him, it's about 15 million.
Okay.
So I was seeing that earlier that they've already kind of agreed without agreeing. So I think it is going to be Teague.
Nick, as our Timberwolves fan, what do you really see from your boys?
I'm sorry, what was that?
What do you really see coming from Minnesota next season?
I'm hoping to see a lot of exciting offensive plays. The team we had last year was so focused on offense. Everything we did, anything we did that was good seemed to be when we had the ball. Our defense just wasn't good enough to even think about making the playoffs. And with Tibbs coming in as the coach, I thought we would actually have a bit more of solidarity, but it didn't look like it last season. So Jimmy Butler as a wing defender really excites me on this team.
All right. I'm sure Brendan probably thinks that the Wizards could have made a better deal for Butler.
Yeah, but I mean, again, I'm not going to cry about it. If Otto can come out and do even relatively near to what Bradley Beal did this past year, we'll be the second seed easily without a problem. If Boston doesn't make a big splash, even with Gordon Hayward, honestly, how much better is that really going to make Boston? If you really think about it. Not really a whole lot better. Jay Crowder is no scrub.
Hey, by the way, to anyone listening, free agency starts in 32 more minutes. I see a lot of questions in the chat, so it's going to be free agency starts at 12 Eastern time. So as soon as we hit 12, we'll have an hour left in the stream, and also we will be reporting news how it comes. We'll be giving our winning take. We'll try to keep you updated. But let's get to a question, and this is from our very own Clayton Couch. He's asking about the possibility of Iguodala to the Thunder. You guys see that maybe happening?
Let's see. Paul George playing shooting guard, and then Iggy playing small forward and starting. Was that how they would pair that up, or what?
I think you still bring Iguodala off the bench.
Okay.
Kind of let him run the second unit, be the motor of that second unit. Because especially with Westbrook, you know who the leader is. It's not Iguodala. Just like how in Golden State your leader is Draymond Green. The same thing comes in Oklahoma City where he can play that same role of the leader of the second unit.
Yeah.
And that's what really the main value he probably brings to the table if Oklahoma City were to attempt to make a move.
All right, guys. It looks like the Warriors and Stephen Curry, according to Mark Stein, are on course to strike a 5-year, $201 million supermax deal after midnight. They probably won't come to terms, I would imagine, until the end of free agency, like all the big free agents, to make sure they get their bench straight first. But, we all saw this coming. Curry wasn't going to go anywhere. But I thought that they were going to take some discounts, specifically him and Durant. So maybe this is a sign that guys like Iguodala and Sean Livingston, maybe they aren't coming back now. Very interesting, though. So I thought they were going to take a little bit less money, not do a Supermax deal.
Yeah, I heard that Curry wasn't. I heard Kevin Durant will take a pay cut to stay and sign other people. Since Curry was kind of shortchanged on his last deal due to his ankle problems.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely a game changer for free agency because Golden State is, as much as it's a destination, if you have people who aren't willing to take veteran minimums, you're not really going to be drawing in free agents. That deal may eliminate Iguodala as an option. That's really a guy they should really try to keep as he's the leader of their bench. But simply, they may not be able to afford him. Iguodala is probably nearing – this is his last big deal. I would say I don't know if he's ever really been on a huge deal, but this is probably his last chance to make good money, considering the good deal. So he may be looking for money rather than another ring, another guaranteed ring with Golden State. You guys, what are you thinking about Iguodala and what Curry's new deal could mean for that?
I thought going into free agency that he was going to sign somewhere else. Regardless, I think that his time with the Warriors is done. But I think personally Iguodala is at the point now where, look, he's not getting any younger. I think he's going to try and go somewhere where he's going to get a lot of money just to kind of finish out his career. I think he's going to kind of be a guy now where either now he's going to cash out. He's going to get like either a 3 or 4 year deal. Or he's going to get – and it's going to be a lot of money, or he's just going to stick with 1 year deals for the rest of his career. But I'm pretty sure that he's going to try and cash out, kind of like what Jared Dudley did last year. So I wouldn't be surprised if he gets like a 3, 4 year deal for the team with a lot of money, maybe like at least 13, 14 mil.
By the way, we have a question from Alex Morgan in our chat, asking if Iggy leaves, say to the Spurs, and then the Cavs pick up either Dwayne Wade or Carmelo Anthony, what happens? Cavs win the championship? Let's just say if the Cavs pick up Dwayne Wade or Carmelo Anthony and Iggy leaves, yes, the Cavs win the championship. Now, is that going to happen? No, it's not going to happen. That's a lot of what ifs, and these are kind of crazy what ifs. So, Alex, no, it's not going to happen, but if it did happen, yes, the Cavs would win the championship.
Especially with guys on their roster like Shumpert and J.R. Smith making so much money. They're not going to be able to afford Carmelo Anthony unless they make some serious cuts. Even Dwayne Wade's $23 million, they're not bringing that in.
I mean, unless these guys get huge buyouts and they're willing to take veteran minimums or even less. It's just not going to happen.
We've also seen some decent veterans get waived today. Rondo got waived as well as Gerald Henderson. I found that very surprising. I thought that Henderson was going to be a big piece for them going forward, but I guess not.
All right, and by the way, to our viewers out there, I want to ask you something. Hop on ESPN Trade Machine, screenshot your photos, and tweet them at The Winning Take, and let us know what deals you want to see or possibilities. We'll be talking about the best ones on here as they may happen. Let us know what you want to see, and make it as crazy as you want it to be, and let's see what we can do.
All right, just a heads up, after all the moves that have happened so far, ESPN ranked the top 14 players of last year. Only one of them now reside in the East. That means 13 of the top 14 players they ranked last year are in the West.
I mean, talk about a hard team to make. Like, the Western Conference All-Star team, if you want to make that team, you better be a top 10 player in the league. I mean, you may even have to be a Hall of Famer to make the Western Conference All-Star team. That's just how competitive it's going to be because that conference is stacked. And if you want a shot at the All-Star team, I feel bad for people like Damian Lillard who are more than deserving of an All-Star appearance, but it's simply not going to happen in the West.
There are going to be a lot of snubs this year that are just going to make you shake your head.
And it's going to be unfair, but there's really nothing you can do.
So I have an interesting question. What can the Wizards do this offseason to beat the Cavs?
Trade for Paul George, but that can't happen anymore. That was really the one Wizards chance. I think it's a superstar league. If you want to win in the NBA, you got to have superstars. The Wizards have John Wall, Bradley Beal. Hopefully Otto Porter turns into one. But the Wizards just right now, they just don't have enough. As big as I want to say, the Wizards are going to compete with the Cavs. The Wizards are going to compete with the Cavs. You got to get past the Celtics first. And for us to lose in Game 7 to the Celtics in Boston, if the Wizards are not going to drastically improve, there's no way they're even competing with Cleveland yet.
I mean, I honestly thought that the Wizards were better than the Celtics last year, and that's like total fan bias aside. Like, I really thought they didn't play better as a team than the Celtics did. But if you look at individual talents and you look at the roster overall, I thought that the Wizards were clearly the better team. I mean, I still have nightmares of Avery Bradley going off for 30 points and Al Horford 3-pointers. And I mean, if you take like half of those Al Horford 3-pointers away, some of those games are a lot closer. Maybe it doesn't even get to 7 games. So that's just what I think about it. I mean, they have no flexibility. They're not going to be able to do anything.
Alex Morgan says they hopped onto NBA trade machine. They Kevin Love and Richard Jefferson for Melo, and it worked. Cavs are not going to be giving up Kevin Love for Melo, considering the Knicks have no trade partners for Melo and are looking to buy him out, possibly. So Cavs aren't going to give up that much for a guy they could simply sign for possibly a veteran minimum.
All right, so any way the Wizards can dump Mahinmi and Gortat in a sign-in trade to get Millsap?
I don't think you're dumping Mahinmi. I think he wasn't really there this past season. However, when he was there, it was great. It was fantastic. And, he was a stud for him. Now, Gortat in the sign-in trade, does Atlanta really feel into this kind of awkward rebuild they may be going into, even though I'm sure they'll find a way to make the playoffs. Atlanta's never going to rebuild. They're always going to be in that hunt. Great coach by Mike Greenholzer. But do they really want to take on Gortat? What's he going to be able to do for them? I don't see them wanting Gortat. However, it may be something they look into if you get Gortat in a first-round pick or even a second-round pick. If that's all they can get, that's certainly a possibility.
Would you be willing to give up? Oubre, any young talent to give up?
You could potentially move Oubre. But
I wouldn't move him.
Okay.
As far as what the Wizards have, it's kind of Oubre and picks. Most of the guys are veterans. I'm not sure how much trade value everybody has, but Oubre is really the main trade value, if you want to call him that. But I'm not sure that they'll even look into a potential Oubre trade.
They shouldn't. Number one, he's not a big cap hit right now. And number two, he still has loads of potential. So if they try to move both those things, I mean, what are they going to get in return for that? Someone that's just going to make the cap higher, which puts you further into the luxury tax. So it's not a good look. The only pieces that they should be looking to move right now are Gortat and Mahinmi, and that's it. That nothing else they should move. Unless you want to dump Jason Smith. But
I'm an anti-LeBron fan. I don't want the Cavs to make another finals. I just want to see a team in the East beat them.
You don't want to see the Cavs winning the East, you said?
Yeah, I don't want to see them ever going to another finals.
This is a Lakers fan talking here. So what would you do as any Eastern Conference team to take over Cleveland in the East?
What would I do?
If you're the GM of the other team, what would you do for one of the teams to beat Cleveland in the East, other than to trade for LeBron? Or
If I was Danny Ainge, I would have traded for either Butler or Paul George.
what would you
have
do
assets in the world.
picture?
What was that?
What would you do now those two players are 99% out of the picture?
I mean, the only player right now that would help either or would be Melo. And I don't know, would you trade too much to get Melo? That's the question. If you're trying to win now, though, because who knows how much longer the Celtics will have representing themselves in the Eastern Conference, like making it to the Eastern Conference Finals, I would pull the trigger. I would trade a future pick or a future couple picks to get Melo if I was Danny Ainge. I mean, you already have Jaylen Brown, you already have Jason Tatum.
Look, if Ainge was willing to trade picks, it would have been for George or Butler. If Melo, for some reason, lands on the Celtics, which probably isn't happening, because if he does get bought out, he's going to Cleveland. If he can, swallow his pride and take a lower salary. But as far as Alex Morgan, by the way, free agency starts in 19 minutes, so we're getting pretty close. But yeah. So what were you saying, Daniel?
All right.
About Melo joining the Celtics?
Yes.
I'd trade for him. I mean, I'm going to go under the presumption that Gordon Hayward's going to join them as well. So then you have Gordon at 3, you play Melo at the 4, you play Horford at the 5, and you run that 7-5 against the Cavs. And I think they'd take it.
A bit off topic here. After the Suns lose out on Blake Griffin, apparently they're determined to sign Paul Millsap for the 4-year, $130 million that they wanted to.
How much did they just sign Paul Millsap?
They haven't done it yet, but they're pretty determined to get it done. They have 4 years, $130 million ready to give to him, and I don't see him declining it.
Which team did you say?
God, the Eastern Conference is going to be so bad.
There's going to be a 30-win team in the playoffs next year in the East.
Like, the Sixers are going to be the 4th seed next year. Like, let that sink in for a second.
Hey, just trust the process, man.
Sam Hinkie died for their sins.
Let's get to a fan question. Alex Moore, that's a very good one. Where can you get the winning take cap? You can do that at our site, which I'm going to drop in the comments right now. It's thewinningtake.com. You're going to go to shop, and then in your checkout, you're going to use the code TWT, and that's going to give you 10% off your entire order. So go ahead and get that done. If you have any questions, again, with that, just leave that in the comments as well. Clayton Couch actually just said, based off our last conversation, in a world where the Knicks are the 3rd seed in the East, if they keep Melo, I don't say 3rd seed, but I want to say they're a playoff team, but then again, we all said that last year. You really don't know with the Knicks, especially with this team.
We'll see assuming D Rose comes back?
I mean, they're with how weak the East is, they're potentially a playoff team. With Carmelo, that is.
Basically, any team in the Eastern Conference can be slightly considered as a playoff team. Even with the Nets getting D'Angelo, maybe he could go off and average 23-plus points per game. I'm not saying it's happening, but it could happen. Any team in the East could make the playoffs this season.
Hey, Alex Morgan again. Keep saying this stuff in the comments. Says East is so bad that Brooklyn gonna make the playoffs. Top 6? Yeah, not happening. I really hope that was a joke because that is not the winning take.
The Nets are going to be interesting to watch too because for the Wizards and for Detroit's sake, they better make offers quickly and aggressive ones to Otto Porter and Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, or else the Nets are probably going to sign those guys to max offer sheets. And by max, I mean so that'll be something to look out for too because the Nets aren't shy about throwing money at guys, and we saw that last year. And now the Heat are overpaying somebody, the Trailblazers are overpaying somebody. So it'll be interesting to see what Brooklyn does. I'm rooting for Brooklyn though because they shouldn't be this bad, just because of one stupid trade that kind of screwed them over.
I mean, when they became the Brooklyn Nets, they were supposed to really be a free agent destination. We'll see what they're able to do. You know, you really need to continue to build that core. It may take a few more years, especially with them not having next year's pick either. Would that also be KG, Celtic, Paul Pierce, Jason Taylor as well? So, you know, Brooklyn has to build, become a big team, especially in the East. You don't have to do too much to become a playoff team, and then once you become a playoff team, you can continually add more and more pieces to your roster, or to your core for that bet.
And I think they can. I'm surprised one of the teams that hasn't been really associated with Iguodala has been the Nets. I mean, at least to my knowledge, I don't think he has. But, I mean, that wouldn't be a bad winning spot for me to cash out some years right away and be the starter. Small forward right now. I mean, they have Rondae Hollis-Jefferson, but I mean, to see like the guy you want starting right now on a playoff team, like probably not. And I know that they're in a different position than a lot of other teams, but like we've been saying so far, the Eastern Conference is going to be wide open next year. The Nets are going to be one of my teams that I look forward to looking to see what they do.
Is that considered a bandwagon if you join and become a Nets fan now?
Yeah. And,
Sorry, what?
It'll be I hope the Nets fail next year, mainly because we traded away D'Angelo Russell to the Nets. And all we got back is Brook Lopez, but
hey, Brook Lopez is not a bad guy to add to that young core. You know, you've got Lonzo Ball, who's going to have a good center, you know, a top tier center to be in there. I don't think he's a bad signing at all or a bad trade. Maybe you give up Russell, which is something you don't want to do, but having Lopez is certainly not a bad thing.
I wasn't opposed to giving up Russell. I just wish, I don't know, we could have gotten a better pick in the deal. I mean, getting rid of Mozgov was the main reason why we made that trade. And what was it? 901 last year is when we signed him. So Laker fans, let's hope we don't sign anyone to that insane amount of deal like we did last year.
Hey, you never know. The Lakers could go out and free agency and look at a guy like I don't know who's a free agent. They could go after Sean Livingston, and 1201 rolls around. They say, "Look, you're going to be the face of our franchise for the next year."
I would. The person I want, we don't have the salary for, is I want us to throw a max offer sheet at Otto Porter, but we just don't have the money right now.
We're going to max.
Trust me. You don't want to max him. Trust me. The only reason the Wizards are is because they pretty much have to.
It's last season, you know, you give him the max because you don't want to lose him, but also, you know, you give him the max, you kind of hurt your salary for the upcoming years. It's going to be tough if they give out of the max to really add on to that team.
Yeah, Lakers fans, we thought Paul George was coming. We thought he was coming draft night. Now he's going to be a Thunder, and if the Thunder have some success in the playoffs, I don't see Paul George leaving the Thunder. So now we got to look at small forward, power forwards going forward. And I don't know. I think Otto Porter has a chance to be a top 10 thing into 5 years from now. So I don't know. Pairing him with Brandon Ingram would be nice on the wing too.
By the way, 10 more minutes until free agency begins. We'll be bringing you all the coverage here as well on thewinningtake.com. Check that out for articles and analysis on everything free agency. We'll be getting stuff out right as it comes. And again, just let us know what you want to see in the comments. Ask questions, anything. Feel free to leave a subscription on our YouTube. We'll be trying to get more live streams out like this. Leave feedback. Let us know what we can do better, what you want to keep seeing, maybe what we should add to the winning take. And just let us know. We really want to interact with you guys. We want to hear what you guys want to see. So just let us know with that. But I will pose this question to all of you. What's the one free agent that we're not talking about enough?
I mean, the class isn't really that deep.
That's true, but you know, there's a guy everywhere. Maybe guys are going to get more money than they deserve, but you know what hidden gem is out there that could make either a jump or could help make a team make a jump to the next level?
Jimmer Fredette.
Hey, Jimmer's lighting up international ball right now. He just hit, 93 out of 100 threes for charity. You know, maybe Brooklyn could use something to spice things up a little bit. You guys got any other guys maybe hiding under the radar a little bit?
Ben Mclemore from Sacramento.
Okay.
That's a good one.
I think if you take him out of Sacramento and that toxic environment, who knows, he might actually be able to ball. He had, 3 head coaches in 4 years. He was a constant trade deadline rumors. He was starting. He was off the bench. He never had a certain role. I think he might shine somewhere.
But I mean, there's a lot of decent shooting guards right now. There's also Tim Hardaway Jr. is restricted. Dion Waiters. And then center, we haven't even talked about really a lot of restricted free agents, but we have Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, and then different position. Reddick is also restricted now since the Celtics chose to extend a qualifying offer. So there's some interesting guys.
JJ Reddick's also a free agent, and I don't think he's returning to the Clippers. So.
What about Rudy Gay?
Ooh.
Coming off that injury, he's pretty nice.
What are you doing with? Actually, by the way, the Juice Man. Not really sure what your actual name is, but we'll call you the Juice. Maybe it's a shout out to OJ. Speaking of OJ, probably getting freed in October. Just throwing that out there. But the Juice Man says Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, someone we're not talking about enough. You know, I remember him on draft day. I was watching with a friend in the same room I'm in now, and we were just like, who is that? They're calling this guy KCP, and he hasn't really showed everything yet. You know, we'll see what he can do. We'll see if he's able to take the next step in his game. In a situation like Detroit where he could have been the leader behind Reggie Jackson, that may have been his one shot to be the leader. Maybe he's better suited for a team like the Wizards. Probably can't afford him, but a team like the Wizards, a team like the Hawks, where he's got other pieces around him, a place where that's maybe a better setting for a guy like Caldwell-Pope. And by the way, Alex Morgan is asking if they should ditch the Knicks if Melo were to leave. I'm a huge Nene fan. I really started following the Wizards when Nene was traded from Denver to Washington. I still follow him, but I'm a Wizards fan. I love Nene, but I am a Wizards fan. So, Alex, my suggestion to you will be to stick with the Knicks, but still follow him wherever he may go. If it's a place like Houston, be a Rockets fan, but your squad is still the Knicks. So we got 5 more minutes until free agency begins. Where do you guys think Reddick goes? I know we just talked about how he's kind of not getting enough coverage.
He's staying in LA,
Philly.
but Reddick's going to be a Laker.
Hey, by the way, with that talk about Philly, not sure how serious your comment was, but when the clock strikes 12:01, by the way, a name linked to Philly is Andre Iguodala could make his return to Philadelphia. Is Philly now a free agent destination in the future, or starting at 12:01 in 6 minutes, are they already a free agent destination?
Yes.
Yes to the free agent destination now or in a few years?
Definitely now. I mean, you go to Philly, you're a top 4 team in the East. You have home court advantage in the first round.
What players do you think could leave their current teams for Philly?
Did you not mute that?
By the way, Clayton Couch is asking ways to the Pelicans. With their core of Anthony Davis and Boogie Cousins, the Pelicans could be somewhere to go. And New Orleans is a place players don't mind playing. I don't know if Rose to the Pelicans is. I haven't heard that. I don't know if it'll happen, but they may be a place for somebody. Maybe not Rose, but they're a fit for somebody.
One of these free agent point guards like Derrick Rose
the
or
biggest free agent they're going to get is Drew Holiday.
So we got 4 minutes until free agency. We'll be especially following with Adrian Wojnarowski. He's going to be starting with ESPN at 12:01, the same exact time that free agency begins. And actually, by the way, if you go look at his Twitter profile, it is no longer with Yahoo. He's changed his photo. He's changed his cover photo. And the website link now says ESPN, and as well as his bio says ESPN NBA Insider. So as soon as that clock strikes, be sure to keep up with the winning take and be looking out for some Woj bombs because you know they're going to be coming.
Where does Rondo go this summer?
ooh.
Nick,
China.
come to Minnesota.
I don't know if I want him to come to Minnesota because he's really similar to Rubio, as in they're guys that aren't going to score a ton of points. All they do is assist the ball. And with Wiggins and Butler, I feel like both of those guys can almost keep up that load. Like, if we weren't to sign a point guard, I think Jimmy Butler would be our point guard. Honestly, that's how thin we are at point guard. We have Tyus Jones and whoever we sign. So, honestly, I don't think we need a pure playmaker like Rondo. I'd prefer somebody that's a bit more of a two-way point guard that can boost us up on both ends.
By the way, only 3 more minutes to free agency. So we will see what happens. We'll keep you posted. Like we keep saying, Connor Douglas joining us says Teague is going to the Wolves. That's the current rumor. Says teams are no longer looking to pursue Teague as they're very convinced he is heading to Minnesota.
I want Teague more than anybody else, to be honest. His time with the Pacers and the Hawks I wasn't really watching him too much, but I just have a hunch he'll actually fit into this team better than a player like Derrick Rose would. Throughout the season, we had actually been linked with Derrick Rose through a trade for a long duration of it, and I was all against it. We didn't need another player that's good for some points on one end, but's not going to play defense. So That's my take on it.
So let me ask you guys this: what's going to be our first Woj bomb with his new ESPN tenure?
Danny Ainge is fired. I'm joking, but
We haven't talked about Kyle Lowry. That's a good one. Nice job, Juice Man.
Juice Man, yeah, thank you, Juice Man, OJ. So we have now
All right, Tony
Tony
Snell is resigning with Milwaukee.
Who just resigned with Milwaukee?
Tony Snell.
Tony Snell with Milwaukee. 4 years, $46 million. Really going to continue to be a defensive beast for them, and he will be, he'll be a good piece to the core as they look to continue with that defensive-minded, long, athletic team. We got any other news rolling yet?
Jeff Teague and the Wolves have now officially come to terms on the contract. Obviously, no one can find their deals until the 9th, but it's around $57 million.
By the way,
Patty Mills is re-signing.
On Twitter, we'll be tweeting out all news. By the way, Harry Kapori, before we get to our news, will Gordon Hayward be signed today, or do you have to wait? Unfortunately for you, if you're a Jazz fan or any other fan, you're going to have to wait. He's got too much to do before he resigns. Brendan Smith saying that Patty Mills is resigning with the Spurs. What does that do for San Antonio?
Well, he's gonna be what he's been. He's gonna be not the best backup point guard in the NBA. I think at this point it's just going to be about comfort for him and just, again, taking the money. I honestly thought that he would maybe try and go to an Eastern Conference team that was contending. I thought that Washington would have been a good fit for him, but again, just out of his price range and as a team, San Antonio had the money to give him. It's a good fit. I think it's better than anything else he could have done because the Spurs are still going to be a top 3 team in the Western Conference. Even though they're aging, and that's going to be something to watch this year for sure. But for now, I think it's a good signing. It's good for him. He gets money, and the Spurs don't lose a quality player. That's a really important part of their rotation.
All right, Cristiano Felicio has re-signed with the Chicago Bulls, 4 years, $32 million.
Ooh. Also, Jeff Teague to Minnesota is official. 3 years, $57 million. Sources tell The Vertical, and a third-year player option. Like it.
With that Teague signing, what does that do for Minnesota? Are they now? You guys think they're top 3 in the West?
Top 3 is a stretch for me. I don't think that a team can go from, second, third, bottom team in the West straight to a home court advantage playoff team with just one upgrade, really. Teague is an upgrade from Rubio, and we're going in the right direction, but, bottom end of the playoffs is where I'd put us right now, 6th, 7th seed at the most, if we can make it all work in the first season.
Hey, no problem with that at all. I mean, for a franchise who's really been struggling ever since the Kevin Garnett trade, no problem with that. Playoff team, you're on the rise. You got Jimmy Butler locked up. You got Karl Anthony Towns locked up. You got Andrew Wiggins locked up. They're going to be a force. But it's a matter of who else can they draw in, and what else are they going to be able to do with what they have. They've underachieved thus far, and what else are we going to see from them?
I'm not upset with bottom half playoff team at all. Playoffs at all would mean the world to me, actually. Past 5 seasons of the Minnesota basketball has just been horrifying. The only two real bright spots of the Timberwolves since 2010 has been Kevin Love and Karl Anthony Towns. And now heading into this season, it looks like we could be in for a real surprise.
So right now we have Tony Snell, 4 years, $46 million with Milwaukee. Jeff Teague, 3 year, $57 million with Minnesota, and Patty Mills with a 4-year, $50 million deal with San Antonio. We're going to keep seeing things unraveling. Stick with us. Karen Douglas pointing out that 2004 was the last time Minnesota was in the playoffs. So it has certainly been a long time, and this season is going to be great for Minnesota and their fans as they look to hopefully become not only a contender in the Western Conference, but in the NBA as a whole.
That number is saying something. I was a toddler the last time the Timberwolves were in the playoffs. That's how long it's been. It's been a really, really tough decade for the Timberwolves, and we're finally going in the right direction. And may I mention the hiring of Tom Thibodeau is absolutely amazing. He was the best guy for the job, and he brought Jimmy Butler in. If we didn't have him, he wasn't coming to Minnesota. So really good job by Tibbs.
So let's check out the question we got in the feed. Perry's saying he's so bad that that's going to be AC, not going to happen. Clayton Couch came up to the Rockets for Anderson and Isaiah Taylor, not going to happen. We got more questions about Gordon Hayward, kind of talking about the signings. So let me ask a question to our viewers, actually, and while we're waiting that, we can talk about it here. What is the one free agent who's going to have the biggest impact going into next year? Leave your thoughts in the comments, and we'll talk about it while we wait on those. You guys got a call for best free agent signing who's going to have the biggest impact?
I'm leaning towards saying Gordon Hayward. He's got so much upside. This past season for Utah for him has just been magical. And if Utah maintain him, then great. But I have a feeling it's either there or the Celtics. And if he goes to the Celtics, that Eastern Conference Finals looks tough to make it into, Brendan.
All right, Ron Baker's re-signing with the Knicks.
Was he on a one-year deal? This was his first year out of college, right? So I'm assuming it was an undrafted free agent, right?
Yeah, I'm surprised they even extended a qualifying offer to him. I would have just left him alone. But I guess if the Knicks aren't going to get anyone interesting, just sign guys to lower contracts that they can dump later on. So, I mean, it's not terrible. I just wouldn't have extended a qualifying offer.
Still wishing Baker was with the Warriors, as you could have had Curry and the Baker. A shame that didn't happen. It would have been a nice backcourt at times. But, with Ron Baker staying in Knicks, you got to wonder what they see with him in the future. It's got to be something. They have to be thinking maybe that he could continue to develop. He had a good rookie year being undrafted out of Wichita State. I'm not sure if he was good enough to lead them to the playoffs, but he's certainly a piece. They're going to need to add more, but he's a piece, and he could play a role in helping them continue to get better. J Delta 15 says really want to see how Chris Paul and James Harden work together. Nacho Man 64 says where do you guys think Millsap signs?
I think he signs with Phoenix. I do.
Do they make the playoffs with Millsap?
Phoenix?
Yeah.
I still think Phoenix is ways up. You hear all this noise, but it's kind of like the Lakers last year. I hate to bring this up, Daniel, but Lakers thought they were getting everybody, and I think Phoenix is in the same boat this year. They kind of think they have a shot at everybody, but we're going to have to see, do people want to play in Phoenix? They want to go play with Devin Booker, Eric Bledsoe. we'll see what happens, but they're certainly not going to have as great of an off season as people are making it seem that they may have.
If they actually can offer him 4 years, $130 million, then it's hard to say that he won't sign with them. And with the talent they have in Bledsoe, Booker, and even Jackson, it's a pretty hot place for free agents to sign. But they're linked with basically every big free agent, and it's just not going to be that magical for Phoenix.
Well, going back to that signing, like I've been saying, a lot of these guys are going to sign and they're going to look for deals they're going to want to cash out. If you look at the NBA, say Paul Millsap stays with the Hawks. Number one, they already said they're not going to sign him to that much money. And number two, is anyone going to beat LeBron in the Eastern Conference right now? No. If you go to the West, is anyone beating the Warriors? No. Also, Sean Livingston is re-signing with the Warriors.
A great pickup for Golden State as they look to keep that bench intact. With Curry's new Supermax that he's signed, they're going to have a rough time building that bench up. And actually, another piece of news, J.J. Reddick is meeting with the 76ers, according to Adrian Wojnarowski. So we talked about that earlier, and I guess Philly is a free agent destination if you've got a guy like Reddick, maybe not looking to ring chase, but still have a decent salary while also competing. Philly's a spot for him because with all the young players and young contracts they have, they're not paying too much right now to any specific players. They've got cap room, and they have, Reddick to Philly is definitely a possibility, especially with the picks they're going to be able to make. By the way, we got 49 minutes about left here on the live show. Keep leaving stuff in the comments. We want to hear what you want to talk about. We'll try to get to everything. Check out thewinningtake.com for our latest takes on everything. Follow us on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram at Winning Take. We'll keep this up, and we will see what happens.
All right, so with the Warriors re-signing Livingston, does this mean he's out?
I think so.
Because they do not have enough cap to sign him to any kind of deal to make him stay.
The exact numbers is
Gordon
3
Hayward.
years, $24 million. That's Livingston's new deal. That's eating
Gordon
up way
Hayward
too
is
much for
re-signing.
Iguodala.
Gordon Hayward did what?
He's re-signing with the Jazz, 5-year deal.
Wow.
Poor Boston. Oh, poor Boston fans.
Really? I'm actually kind of surprised by that.
Hey, Brendan, where did you see that?
It was one of the main official people that I just saw. I just saw it real quickly.
Well, with Gordon Hayward already re-signing, apparently, that is very surprising because you think about all the teams that wanted to bring him out for a visit. You've got Boston, Miami. The Knicks we were talking about. There was one other team, but whoever it was, he didn't listen to the offer apparently, or if he did, it was very quick because we're only 13 minutes in the free agency, and it appears that that Gordon Hayward is staying in Utah on a 5-year deal. We're still waiting on the numbers. I assume it's going to be Supermax. So we'll see if now Utah becomes a place where free agents go to play with Hayward. We're actually getting word that there's mixed reports right now on Hayward. Some are saying that he has resigned. Others are saying he has not resigned. So we're still waiting an official word on that. Again, we'll keep you posted as word comes in. It is now official that Stephen Curry has agreed to a 5-year, $201 million deal with Golden State. So that Gordon Hayward news is actually fake news, let's call it. It is not official. It is not real unless we get unless we get an official word that is not true, I apologize for that. But Stephen Curry has agreed to a 5-year, $201 million deal with Golden State, according to his agent, Jeff Austin.
Congrats.
I mean, yeah, that dude really worked for that money, especially with this contract he's been playing under. Certainly less than a two-time NBA champion. Two-time NBA unanimous MVP as well. So, Stephen Curry way more than deserving of that contract.
But yeah, that means Iggy's gone. And unless Kevin Durant's going to take the biggest of pay cuts to keep that core together.
You think KD might leave?
What was that?
Any chance KD leaves?
Kevin Durant, not anytime soon.
But you think he'll be taking on that low pay cut?
Yeah. I think lowest I could see Kevin Durant going would be like $20 million a year. I don't think that opens up enough cap space to sign Iggy. Since Curry will be making about $40 million a year now.
Connor Douglas says KD to OKC, so does Clayton Couch. You never know. Russell Westbrook, Paul George, Kevin Durant. You're talking about a team that could compete with the Warriors. Now, we're just making stuff up right now. Bill Selby would be interesting to see, assuming that KD does take a big pay cut. It's not going to happen. But, yeah.
So, an interesting theory out there is Paul George joined the Thunder to recruit Russell Westbrook to the Lakers next year. They're both LA guys. They'll both be going to the Lakers next year.
I don't think that George had any say in the trade, to be honest. The Pacers probably took the best offer at the moment, decided to get rid of him. Seemed like his value was continuing to go down. But I wouldn't think that he had any say in his transition to OKC.
Yeah. But they're both free agents next year, right?
I believe George is, and Westbrook has the option to opt out.
Yeah. Both are LA natives. Both have spoken about one day playing for the Lakers. The Lakers want the cap space to sign both players next summer. We'll see.
And by the way, it's official. The NBA's salary cap for the 2017-2018 season is set at $99.093 million. This is the official statement coming from the NBA. So that's on their press release. So for anyone working salary cap, that is what the salary cap is. And it goes into effective immediately. Now, remember, as we experienced with DeAndre Jordan a few years ago, this is the moratorium until July 9th. So any deal signed now could be taken back, and anything could happen to the 9th. So any deal you're hearing about now, it could be off the table come the 9th. Players could go choose to be with another team. So don't trust anything. I mean, do trust it. Most players aren't like DeAndre Jordan. But just a reminder that anything could change in the coming days. Nacho Man asking if the Heat will re-sign, and still, like we said, Hayward has not yet re-signed with the Jazz. He is their main target to pair with Hassan Whiteside, and still a potential option for the Heat. If they can sign Hayward, we'll see who else they might be able to bring in. Who do you guys see going after?
Sorry, I zoned out, Dylan. What was the question, bud?
Where do you see, like, what players do you see the Heat maybe going after?
For what team?
The Heat.
Miami.
Oh. I think they're definitely going to try and lock up Dion Waiters. I think that's going to be one of the first things they do. A while back, it had been reported that he wanted to re-sign with them anyway. I think that's ultimately going to happen. They have the money, especially now that Chris Bosh's contract isn't going to count against their salary, which is insane. So they're going to have the money to throw around. I think that the Heat are also another team that could go after Paul Millsap. I think that him and Whiteside would fit nice together. A lot of people are saying Blake Griffin, and to me, if you have like Blake Griffin and Hassan Whiteside in the same front court, that's like it's just the same thing you do with the Clippers. It's just disaster to me. I wouldn't do that. To me, I would play Blake Griffin at center at this point, but that's just me.
By the way, Stanley Scarania is reporting that Blake and the Spurs are no longer talking about a potential deal, saying that Denver and the New York Knicks have made contact with Hill, and that's a potential. Those are both potential landing spots for him. While San Antonio is now off the table for George Hill, so depending on when Tony Parker's going to be back, they are still in the market for a point guard. You guys see, who actually do you see San Antonio going after? Because they need somebody, whether it's a backup to add to what they have or bring in somebody who they feel can kind of take over the reins while Parker's out.
I think they take on Kyle Lowry. I think he ends up a San Antonio Spur.
What moves do you think they'd have to make to be able to get rid of that? I know you don't really have cap information right on you, but what are they going to have to do to be able to get that to potentially work out?
Danny Green might have to be gone. And
possibly to a Washington?
God.
I don't know. Where would Danny Green go? Who else has
He could
cap?
go to Philly. Philly was a rumor that San Antonio and them were in talks.
Did we already talk about JJ Reddick's in a meeting with Philadelphia right now?
Yeah.
We did not report that he was in it right now, but we did talk about how he was going to meet with them. But if he's in a meeting right now, in the coming minutes, we could see JJ Reddick sign with the 76ers and truly embrace the welcome to the movement slogan that they've now adopted rather than trust the process. With Reddick to the Sixers, you're looking at they're competing for a top 3, 4, 5 pick in the East. Even without Reddick, they may be. But without Reddick, they're probably more around that 7-6 range. They add Reddick, could potentially get up to the 3, depending on who adds what behind Cleveland, Boston, and Washington.
I think Reddick's a great fit for Philly because if you look at the lineup Philly would have, it'd be Fultz at point guard, Reddick at shooting guard, and then they'd have Simmons, Saric, and Embiid. And then you'd have Robert Covington, TJ McConnell, those sort of players on the bench. That's a pretty solid lineup. And I'd rather Reddick go to the Sixers than a team like the Nets because the Nets already have an overload of guards. They just extended a qualifying offer to Joe Harris, which is not the brightest idea, seeing you could have got JJ Reddick instead. But I think Reddick to Philly would be a really solid signing for them.
I hate to break it up, but the Warriors are considering Rudy Gay as their plan B if Andre Iguodala leaves.
Yeah, that's according to Warriors, what I was saying. You could see a guy like Rudy Gay take less money to really, for the first time in his career, really be after a ring. He's a great player who just hasn't been on great teams, and it's very possible that the addition of Rudy Gay, or actually it's more Gay than the Warriors. Obviously have the Warriors, but really this could be a career-changing signing for Gay.
And also, Gay, you don't know what you're to get. He's coming off of Achilles tear, right?
Yeah, he had some injury last season that took him out at the end of the year. So we'll see if he's able to play. But if they're not able to get their main guy, which is you'd rather keep that core intact, especially with what he brings to the table both on and off the court. Gay could be somebody who could fill his shoes, maybe not as a leader, but certainly as a player. But the Juice Man is still saying Rudy Gay is going to OKC. I know you're hoping that, but we'll see what happens.
So then, also, Woj confirmed the Celtics' plan was to sign Gordon Hayward, then trade for Paul George, but the Pacers did not want to wait until after free agency. But they wanted him gone before free agency started.
Yeah, for sure. That's something, if they had kept him and Boston hadn't been able to land Hayward, teams could have already made moves, and it's very possible that his value could have even fallen more had they waited. So it was probably best for them to get rid of George when they could, rather than wait and his value continue to plummet as it has since draft night. You guys see Boston as a legitimate threat to sign Hayward?
Who?
Boston to sign Gordon Hayward. You think there's a shot that actually happened?
Of him becoming a Celtic?
Yes.
Yeah. I can see it now since so many talents going in the West. If Gordon Hayward wants a deep playoff run, he should go to the East.
Yeah, Utah really wasn't a bad team though last year. Like even though they got swept by the Warriors, I thought the Jazz did really well. And now with Ricky Rubio, if they can re-sign Gordon Hayward and get one more piece, if they can retain Joe Ingles, which I know probably at this point is unlikely, especially if a team like Orlando that was rumored to offer him big money, that's just not going to happen. But if they can use the MLE and get a decent veteran, the Jazz, I mean, they're still a top 4 seed next year.
Yeah, I just think they'd have better luck in trying. If Hayward would have better luck trying to beat the Wizards to get to the conference final than the Spurs or Rockets.
No, I agree. Also got to think about the money this year.
Yeah. Do you think the Heat have any chance on signing Gordon Hayward?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that's their plan, to team him up with Whiteside, and for that to be their core, along with, actually a guy we haven't talked about, Dion Waiters. Maybe he resigns with Miami after the year he had. They could have a nice core, especially in the East. You're looking at competing for that 4th seed. I really think it's Cleveland, Boston, and Washington, top 3 seeds in the East. And then it's really all up for grabs. So Miami, just like Philly, could find a way to get all the way up to that 4th spot. Clayton Couch is asking 1 to 8 seed predictions in the East. By the way, I'm going to go with 1 Cleveland, 2 Boston, 3 Washington, 4 Philly, 5 Milwaukee, 6 Miami, 7
Toronto?
7. Oh, I forgot about Toronto. Let me actually put Toronto at 6, 7, and Miami, and 8. I'm going to go with the Knicks at 8.
All right, I can see that.
Alex Morgan saying Dion Waiters said he wants to re-sign with Miami ASAP. So I'm going to look that up, look if that's a potential. And I'm not seeing that from anywhere. If you could just let us know when you saw that, Alex Morgan, we'll be happy to discuss it. It's certainly something I see happening, and something after the year he just had, something that should happen from both sides, because Miami found the steal, and also Waiters finally found his team after he struggled at the beginning of his career with both Cleveland and Oklahoma City. But Connor Douglas asks, where's Gallinari going? I've been seeing that question a lot. Personally, I think he's either going to stay in Denver or he's going to make the move to Miami. Another guy that could be head to Miami and making not a super team, but let's call it a quality team full with good players. That's what it's called. So they got a long title. But is a guy in Miami should go after, a guy in Miami could go after. And if not Miami, I really think he's going to stay in Denver unless he's looking for a ring, because Denver's going to offer him the most money, and that's for sure. By the way, I know with all this going on, it's kind of weird to talk about other sports, but currently, Mike Folnowitz has a no-hitter through 8 innings for the Atlanta Braves against the Oakland Athletics. So not really sure what you guys are up to, but it's important, the milestone, and definitely something to talk about, even though it has nothing to do with NBA free agency. So Connor Douglas saying Gallinari's underrated. Yeah, that's for sure. That's kind of something I think everybody knows, which is weird that he's underrated, but you don't know where he's going to land or what impact he's going to make.
I think that the Heat could be an option for him too. I mean, I think they're going to spend money on someone. It's just a matter of, is it going to be Paul Millsap? Is it going to be Gallinari? It's going to be one of those. It's not going to be one of those upper, like, top guys, but it's going to be one of those second tier free agents. I think it's not just going to be, they're going to sign Dion Waiters and that's it. I think they're going to make one more decent move.
Harry is asking to make the East. I see me needing to win the East, to do services to get or trade. And you get Gordon Hayward, that's obvious. It's the guy they're going after. If they want a shot at being Cleveland, they need another star. Whether or not you consider Isaiah Thomas a star, they need someone to put next to him, and that's Hayward. They don't get Hayward. Is there really a shot they can beat LeBron James, the greatest player of all time? I don't see anything.
Do you guys expect any major signings to happen tonight?
No.
I think guys like Lowry, Hayward. Yeah, that's why I got my Jazz jersey hanging up here. It's a huge day for Utah. They need to re-sign Hayward. But again, I don't see it happening. Big guys like that, it's just like last year, KD waiting until July 4th. You're going to see something like that this year. It's not going to be like how KD did it, but it's the big names are going to take a while, as they always do.
Woj just reported on ESPN JJ Reddick will not be returning to the Clippers.
I think that was reported hours ago, actually.
Yeah.
But yeah, again, JJ Reddick currently in a meeting with Philly, as we talked about. This proves Philly is already a destination for free agents. Great city, great team. They've got a bright future.
Yeah, he will definitely benefit from Ben Simmons distributing the ball out there.
Ben Simmons, Markelle Fultz as well.
if these players actually play a game. Throwing that out there.
Hey, that's for sure. I believe it was ESPN put out a graphic from Joel Embiid tweets versus games played, and it was something like 5 times more tweets than games played. That was after the Joel Embiid talk about Ben Simmons dunking on Lonzo Ball so hard that his daddy ran out. By the way, I hope we have a bunch of big ballers here on the show today. Let us know if you're a big baller in the comment section. Let us know what you think about LeVar Ball. I know here we're kind of talking about free agency, but LeVar's a character. I personally love him, but everyone's got a different opinion on him. So I'd love to hear what you guys have to say.
We are all big ballers now in LA. Lonzo Ball will win the Rookie of the Year. Lakers will sniff the 8th seed. Gonna happen this year.
Are you going to be buying the ZO2s?
People are
Man,
not
Ben
buying
Simmons is gonna win Rookie of the Year, man. Come on.
Again, let's see him play a game in the NBA.
It's going to be crazy.
All right, so realistic expectations. How many wins will the Timberwolves get next year?
I'm thinking it's around 500, give or take 3 games either direction. With that record, I don't know if playoffs is really possible. I hope it is. If there's any reason we make it into the playoffs at all, it's because our players defensively perform better than they were expected to. We can reach a heavy amount of improvement on our offense alone, but the defense just needs to step up.
All right, let's go Wizards. Win prediction.
How many wins?
Yeah.
Oh, God, I may not be the best person to ask you considering I'm a Wizards fan, obviously. I don't see them making any improvements in free agency. I see it more as players making improvements. John Wall's going to improve more. Bradley Beal's going to improve more. Levy Cassidy just saying Warriors blew a 3-1 lead. I love it. They also just won the NBA championship. So take that for what you want. But and Otto Porter, assuming they re-sign him. They really have to now with Paul George moving on to Oklahoma City. But realistically, I think next year is the year that Washington gets a 50-win season for the first time since 1976. Don't quote me on that stat, but I believe that's the number.
That series against Boston was really convincing for me. They look like a team that could challenge to take over Boston. That being said, if Boston don't make a huge improvement to their team, and if Jason Tatum isn't a beast, because if they get the best out of Jason Tatum this season, they're going places.
I'll be honest, I don't know what Jason Tatum's going to do for him. Honestly, didn't watch too much of him in college, but I don't see him as certainly not someone who's going to help them beat Cleveland like Markelle Fultz could have in the next 3 years as Cleveland declines and potentially LeBron James moves on to a team like the Lakers. Not sure how much of that's just talk or if it could actually happen, but I don't know if Tatum's going to be able to do what a guy like Fultz could have done, or even Lonzo.
I think that's fair, but with the guys that Boston had available out of Tatum or Jackson, that Josh Jackson refused to work out with them. So after they traded down, their selection was basically a lock. And I personally think Tatum's a better fit for Boston than Josh Jackson is, just because he's a scorer. And his only problem for me is he's really selfish with the ball. You go ask his teammates at Duke how many times they got the ball from him. It's not going to be a big number. So with that being said, I think he's a good selection from them, the best selection they could have had available, but his ceiling isn't as big as other guys like Fultz, as you said. I think Fultz can make the Sixers a franchise.
Trust the process. Hey, Brendan, where'd you see that news about JJ Reddick?
What's up?
Where'd you see that 1-year deal for $20 million for the Sixers offering Reddick?
It was from
Hoop Central.
Hoop Central. So Hoop Central was reporting that the 76ers offered JJ Reddick a 1-year, $20 million deal without years past that 1 year. You're probably not going to see him sign tonight. He's going to test other options. Obviously, he could. This is just giving my assumption. I think Reddick's going to test the market, see if anyone's willing to give him any time past this 1 year. But it's certainly a hefty price, $20 million. But again, the one downside is only a 1-year deal, which is going to allow him, or it's going to force him to determine between the money or the long-term contract.
And the Spurs have made contact with Rudy Gay.
What is he doing with Kawhi?
Maybe playing 3 and 4. Start them next to each other. Kawhi can guard the better of the forwards. Rudy Gay can chill on defense.
So Juice Man says Rudy Gay close to a deal with the Spurs. Juice Man, let us know your source for that, and we will check it out and let everybody know if it's legit. Again, with you reporting that Rudy Gay or the Spurs have contacted Gay, again another team where he could go and finally be a part of a contender. Will change is going to change his career, from a guy who's been good on bad teams to potentially, or even when he was with Toronto, a guy who was good on a team that became good once he left. So this could really be a career-changing time for Gay. And yes, Connor Douglas and May was re-signed prior to the opening of free agency.
And so Jabari Young's reporting that Rudy Gay is on the verge of signing with the Spurs.
Wow.
He covers the Spurs. He's a beat writer for them.
So Rudy Gay is likely to land with the Spurs. Alex Morgan saying from Rose that Reddick would come off the bench if he signs with the Nets or come into a Lynn Russell starting backcourt. Fake news, Alex Morgan. I just checked, and that is not on Woj's Twitter. Please leave fake news out of the comments. We don't want it. We don't want to hear about it. It's fake news. Don't tell us it.
I was gonna report what Brendan earlier. I thought it was Woj about Hayward staying put in Utah. I'm pretty sure I saw the link that he saw. It was like Woj, ESPN.
I only have like the verified alerts, so those are the only ones that pop up on my phone. So I guess someone else must have retweeted it or something because it popped up, and I was like, oh.
So the Cavs are interested in signing Zach Randolph.
Again, another guy. I don't like all these old signings. I understand you can get guys coming for cheaper money, and Zach Randolph is a great player, but does he help you beat Golden State? Who does he match up well with? David West. That's not going to help you beat Golden State. Cavs need to stop messing around. I hate to say it, but a guy like Randolph isn't what matters. It's all about you got to get more stars with your team. I wouldn't be messing around with guys like that. I understand you got to do that, but right now, before guys get signed, they need to go after people.
The only reason I would even think about Randolph being a good signing for the Cavs is because if there's any time he's going to be productive for any team, it's now. You know, nobody else really wants him. Take the money, give him the money, take the hit on your cap, give him a 1-year deal, and just hope that it works. With all these rumors of LeBron moving to Los Angeles, this is basically the Cavs' last year to even try something if these LeBron rumors are true. So might as well go for it.
Hey, and anyways, check out Real GM. According to Real GM, that report about J.J. Reddick coming off the bench behind D'Angelo Russell and Jeremy Lin is true. I don't see Reddick going to a team like Brooklyn unless they're going to give him the max. I mean, really,
that bag.
you're asking what about LA, like the Lakers?
No, I don't think J.J. Reddick would want to come off the bench if it's to be behind Jeremy Lin.
No, I mean, especially if you're going to win 20 games max next season. I think teams like the Sixers who are going to win games and can offer money are going to be a better fit for Reddick. Hopefully if he's looking to get another ring in his career.
And also taking into account how many guards the Nets actually have. They've brought in D'Angelo Russell. They have Jeremy Lin. They have Caris LeVert, if that's how you pronounce that. They extended a qualifying offer to Joe Harris. They have so many guards. They don't really need to pay $20 million a year for another one. If there's any place they should be improving upon, it's not their backcourt.
All right, so another free agent we haven't talked about. Where's Serge Ibaka going?
Washington.
The Rockets are interested, and someone tweeted out that he's likely staying in Toronto, but Houston has interest in Serge Ibaka.
I see him staying in Toronto. Really a place with, you don't really know what they're doing. But actually, before I go on ahead, are you saying who cares about Nene? The Rockets care about Nene. They were potentially going to compete in that series. Nene gets injured, and the rest is history. So the Rockets care about Nene. And that's the truth. But Toronto, you don't know what's going on with that franchise. But I think Serge Ibaka staying there. I think he enjoyed his time there. It's definitely a potential spot for him to stay put.
And what is Serge Ibaka about? He's been on the Magic. He's been on the Thunder. Now he's on the Raptors. That's all within like 3 seasons, maybe even less. So going to a 4th team in that short of time, if he does, there's clearly something going on with those organizations with him. I don't think he was rightly displayed in OKC. I don't think they quite used him the correct way they should have. Toronto are in a step in the right direction. But if they maintain Lowry, they maintain Ibaka, it's one for another. It's either both or neither.
But Toronto's still not competing with Cleveland, are they?
No, not even close. I don't think you can even think about putting them in that same wheelhouse.
Especially since
I think we may be losing Brendan. I'm not really sure right now. But
No,
between
you're good.
this is
Message real
Brendan,
quick. I'm right here, y'all. You feel me?
and there's it's been a slow start to free agency. Last year everything kind of moved quick, except for KD, and then once KD signed, everything fell into place. I think people are waiting to see what Hayward does, because if Hayward goes to a Boston, you don't know what else cap space they have. If Hayward goes to Miami, they become an immediate contender for the Eastern Conference behind Cleveland. They're not beating Cleveland. However, they could add pieces to then potentially beat Cleveland. If he stays in Utah, does Utah become a potential destination for Hayward? So I think right now everything is waiting on Hayward, who they expect to make a decision pretty soon, I'm assuming, or everybody else is just going to have to wait. And Connor Douglas, yes, we do have a podcast. If you go to our YouTube homepage, currently we're airing the Explicit NBA podcast with PT as your host. He's a Clippers fan, and he runs a great podcast. I hope you check it out. It's called the Explicit NBA podcast. He does a great job, and I enjoy listening to it, and I think you enjoy it as well. Brendan's actually going to be joining us in a second. Says his phone is going to overheat, and he said he'll be with us all until 1. But yeah, drop our YouTube subscription, The Winning Take. Check out our Twitter page, our Instagram page, and our Facebook page. All of The Winning Take. If you need a link, drop something in the comments. I'd be happy to share everything with you all. Now we've got 10 minutes left. Please as well drop some questions in the comment section. Would love to talk about any questions you guys may have, whether it's regarding a potential free agent signing, a current free agent signing that has already occurred, or any analysis dealing with any of those teams. Alex Morgan is asking for our Twitter, by the way, so I'm going to drop the link in comments. It's just twitter.com/winningtake. So give us a follow. And, we'll be tweeting, especially with free agency going. We cover all sports, not just NBA. So check out the site, check out all of our social media. Let us know what you want to see more of, and we'll be happy to keep providing you with the winning team. Rudy Gay's camp is coming. Breaks on report agreement with the Spurs. They have meetings scheduled over the next few days. Rudy weighing options. So because of that, it's another guy free agency's waiting on. Because if Gay were to go to a place like, actually everyone, it's true. Everyone's waiting on Hayward because Hayward doesn't go to Boston. Hayward is not going to San Antonio. Hayward leaves Utah. Gay is now an option for Utah. It could be an option for Boston or even Miami. So there are a ton of different options with him. So everything is still waiting on Hayward. And Harry saying, coming from a Celtics fan, I would rather go to the Heat than the Celtics if I was Hayward. Harry, I'd like to know why you're thinking that. It's a little confusing. I mean, Miami right now isn't a playoff team. Player away, although they're probably really more around 2 players away at least to even push Cleveland to a game 6 or maybe a game 7. So I would like to know why you're thinking that you'd rather go to Miami than Boston if you're a Celtics fan. Connor's saying tax-free. Come on, man. That's not what these guys are thinking. They're not thinking about their tax money. Drop that. Get out of here.
Hayward wants to go to Miami to party. He wants the lifestyle in Miami. Can't get that lifestyle in Boston.
I mean, Boston's a fun place. It's not like, Utah, it's guys were saying the Warriors were saying they wanted to sweep Utah because there was nothing to do in Salt Lake City. So it's very possible that he does want to get out of Utah.
Somebody who's not going to be leaving Utah is Joe Inglis, somebody we haven't talked about at all, the sharpshooting forward for Utah. Apparently the Jazz are prepared to match any offer given to Joe Inglis throughout this free agency.
Have you guys had any watching him, any any experience with Joe. I believe it's Inglis.
All I know about the guy is he's an amazing shooter. That's pretty much what I know on him. And, in this league, you can never go with too much shooting. So keeping him is a really solid option for Utah, especially if they don't get Hayward back.
He's actually not a bad defender as well. That was surprising when I watched him play.
Let's see. So we got 5 minutes left. Please share this video. Let's keep getting people in here in our last 5 minutes. We'd love to keep answering any questions or anything that you guys may have. So please share it. Send it to mom. Send it to dad. We want to get anything that we can in these last 5 minutes. And again, we want to keep connecting with you guys. Go to our site, which I'm dropping in the comment section right now, thewinningtake.com. Check us out, please. Let us know what you guys think about our site, our articles, different writers, and our social media.
All right, so let's go position by position, top 10 in each, where they end up. Where's Kyle Lowry going to end up at?
Kyle Lowry ends up in San Antonio.
George Hill.
Denver.
All right. Knicks. Drew Holiday.
Ooh, not with the Pelicans. Maybe the Knicks.
All right. And since Livingston already resigned, last point guard will be Derrick Rose.
Minnesota.
All right.
Ooh.
JJ Reddick.
Philly. That's the process.
All right.
Trust it.
Dion.
Waiters?
Yeah.
Miami.
Yeah, he'll stay with the Heat.
And then Jonathan Simmons probably staying in San Antonio, right?
Yeah.
All right. We'll go with Hayward. Make a prediction. Where will he play in 2017?
He's sticking with Utah. I think there's too much for him to decide about. I think he's going to stay where he knows.
All right, Rudy Gay.
Golden State.
Iggy.
I think he's going to the Spurs. I'm going to have to disagree with you on that.
All right.
Spurs. I got Iggy leaving to San Antonio and Rudy Gay taking his place in Golden State, ring chasing and coming off the bench.
We'll go with Paul Millsap.
I'll say Phoenix. They got to find somebody.
I got him staying in Atlanta if they give him a no-trade clause.
Okay. Danilo.
Miami.
And got to give love to the big guys. Where is Pau Gasol going to play next year?
Spurs.
Yeah, he'll stay with the Spurs.
And Dwayne Dedman. This is
Orlando.
what the Warriors want. This is the center that the Warriors want for next year.
Warriors. It's a fit, but you don't know with a player like that. That's really, does he want money? Does he want to win? He could go to 30 different teams. He could legit be on any team come next season. Hey, so we've got 1 minute left before we wrap this up. Again, check out thewinningtake.com. Check out all of our social media at The Winning Take. Send us your feedback, comment on this video. Just let us know your thoughts if you want to see more stuff like this, and we will keep it coming. Summer League starting up. That's going to be the next big thing. Keep up with all sports on our site. Like I said, thewinningtake.com. I'm going to drop it in one last time into the comments. Thewinningtake.com. Check us out. Thank you, Brendan, Daniel, and Nick, for tuning in with us. Thank you to everybody for staying with us tonight. And we appreciate it, and we love having you guys. So thank you. And until next time.